the engine for Africa Economic Growth. So I have here in my left Chami. He's the Assistant Secretary-General of African, Caribbean and Pacific Group, the Secretary-General for the African, Caribbean and Pacific Group of States, that's correct. And to be a little bit more specific, Head of the Sustainable Economic Development and Trade Department. Then I have with me also, right after Mr. Chile, I have His Excellency, Dr. Mary Nagel, Minister of State, Prime Minister Office, Investment and Employment of the Republic of Tanzania. Welcome here. Next to her, with us to talk about this subject we have mentioned, I have His Excellency Francisca Tachu Belda. She's the Minister of Economy, Commerce and Business Promotion for the Republic of Equatorial Guinea. Most welcome. And next to her, I have Roelof, Senior Advisor on Trade and Development, Directorate-General for Trade of the European Commission. Welcome, all of you. So, I will give the word to first to Mr. Achille Cyril, who will like to give us a little brief introduction on behalf of Mr. Chambas, who I would say is the General Secretary of the Assane. So,
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Secretary-General of the ACP, my own behalf, I thank the government of Tenerife Islands and the organizers for inviting us to this important event. First and foremost, I would like to convey the apology of Mohammed Chambas, the Secretary-General, who unfortunately could not be present here today due to other pressing commitments in Brussels. However, he wishes us fruitful deliberation, particularly on this important topic on how to build partnerships in order to foster economic growth in Africa. In this regard, we believe that the Cotonou Partnership Agreement provides a unique model of North-South relations involving a group of 27 developed countries, the European Union, and the 79 countries across 3 continents, 15 in the Caribbean, 15 in the Pacific region, and 49 African countries. With the 49 members states, Africa forms the cornerstone of the Cotonou Partnership Agreement, and this provides diminishing the relative importance of the other 2 regions. It should be noted that the Cotonou Agreement is articulated around the central objective of eradicating poverty and facilitating the smooth and gradual integration of African and ACP countries into the global economy. We therefore need to build similar partnerships with all interested parties so that we can assist in channeling development in Africa. What is therefore the role of the ACP Secretariat in advancing international business and trade relationships for and in Africa? It should be signaled that in many African ACP countries, unsuitable regulations, imbalanced competition, deficient investment strategies, weakness of intermediary organizations, and the difficulty for small and medium-sized enterprises to access finance are on top of the first of the list that curb the development of the private sector. Establishing the economic conditions that are required to create wealth remains the cornerstone of the ACP Secretariat activities over the last 3 decades by combining trade and private sector assistance. In that regard, ACP Secretariat developed close collaboration with the European Commission, selected international institutions, and various regional economic communities on all matters pertaining to investment in private sector development. The first pillar of our action is to create an enabling business environment to fill persistent gaps in that regard. According to one indicator, Doing Business 2010 developed by the World Bank, 30 of the 38 most difficult countries to do business are in African ACP countries. To address these challenges, appropriate resources have been earmarked under the 10th EDF through various programs. First, the private sector enabling environment facility is clean, with the main objective of providing technical assistance to policymakers and private sector representatives in the field of regulatory reforms with a view to improving the business climate in African ACP countries. However, as you know, regulatory reforms alone are unlikely to have the desired impact on growth if information on the African ACP country remains unreliable and costly to access. To address this, we managed to put in place the African Economic Outlook and the investment monitoring platform, providing quality information on African countries to investment promotion agencies as well as potential investors seeking empirical evidence to identify investment opportunities. The second major tool is Pro-Invest program. Its main goal being to provide support to intermediary institutions such as Chambers of Commerce and Industries, professional associations, and consultancies in the fields of investment promotion. It is a tool for transferring know-how and developing managerial capacity in African ACP countries. The ACP EU Microfinance Program has for objective to channel financial services for low-income entrepreneurs and households and innovative business models. The second pillar of ACP secretarial activity in respect to private sector development is to facilitate access to financial resources. In this respect, specific instruments such as the investment facilities are made available to our member states in close collaboration with the European Investment Bank. It should be signaled at this stage that although in the long term, private financing is meant to cover most investment needs in ACP countries, the current lack of state resources actually prevent various African governments from adequately financing large infrastructure projects. The Infrastructure Trust Fund, co-financed by the EDF, offer grants to regional infrastructure projects, while the investment facility provides various forms of risk sharing. The third pillar of ACP action is to assist ACP enterprise, particularly SMEs, to become more competitive. This function is carried out by the Center for the Development of Enterprise, the CDE, set up by the Cotonou Partnership Agreement, with the central objective of identifying and supporting the activities of producers representing high potential for economic and social development. In fulfilling this goal, the CDE will on 8 April 2011 sign a financing agreement with the West African Economic and Monetary Union, and as a result of which CDE will be entrusted with almost 10 million euros to develop and manage private sector development program on behalf of UEMOA for the next 3 years. The fourth pillar being for ACP in terms of private sector is to mobilize resources also for SMEs, particularly for the microfinance program. With this said, what are the specific actions of the Secretariat in collaboration with international organizations to support the business sector? The ACP Secretariat collaborates with a few international institutions involved in the private sector development, such as the World Bank, the International Trade Center, UNIDO. The last example in this area are the recent signature by our Secretariat of a Memorandum of Understanding with the World Customs Organization and UNIDO. With UNIDO last Thursday, we agreed to collaborate in 3 main areas. Firstly, supporting inclusive industries, particularly agro-industry for job creation and poverty reduction in ACP countries. Secondly, strengthening competitive industry in the private sector in African ACP countries. And thirdly, developing environmentally friendly industries for promoting sustainable development in ACP. What are the Secretariat actions to improve trade and competitiveness of ACP countries. As I mentioned, although an appropriate business connection and diversification of the economy are key for the sustainable development, these may be meaningless if it is not accompanied with secure market access for ACP products. Many ACP countries have a long history of trading partners on international markets. A number of barriers restrict the volume of these exchange and maintain profitable markets beyond the reach of African producers. It should be recalled that secure market access was one of the key objectives of ACP countries when they engaged with the European Union in economic partnership agreements. To date, several contentious issues have hindered the successful conclusion of these negotiations. It is not my intention to put an emphasis on these issues here, but the ACP Secretariat on its part organized on a yearly basis a meeting with the various ACP regional economic communities involved in these negotiations to share experience, coordinate, and revisit our position on EPAS. It is our hope that successful conclusion of EPAS will create more opportunities for African exporters on the EU market. In the area of trade, it should be also noted that the Secretariat developed various specific instruments, and to just quote some of them, I will refer to the Trade-Com, the Multilateral Trading System Program, and various other projects. In conclusion, it is worth noting that Africa is the richest continent in the world in terms of natural resources endowments. However, the paradox is that it is also the region where grim nightmare of poverty remains stark. With a population nearing 1 billion people, Africa cannot rely only on agriculture and raw materials for its economic sustenance. To survive and flourish in the emerging global economy, we must focus on those competitive products and sectors that will enhance sustainable economic development. It is crucially important that we create the right environment that will enhance accelerated growth and structural transformation. Economic diversification is important, with a focus on improving the value chain for African products and expanding the quality of products for domestic as well as world markets. Africa faces some atypical challenges in its quest for competitive industrialization. So far, the industrial sector remains largely underdeveloped and undercapitalized. Indeed, limited access to financial services remains a major obstacle to African enterprises, while underdeveloped infrastructure, limited healthcare and educational services, and poor institutional frameworks also make African countries less competitive in the global marketplace. Yet, the potential for industrialization of Africa is huge if the major bottlenecks to its development are appropriately addressed. One of the reasons why we need results-oriented partnerships with emphasis on job creation is to counter for the fact that over 60% of our population in Africa is under 18. It is also imperative to unlock the potential of our youngsters with the appropriate education system, which should be adjusted to the global market needs. This is essential for the stability and peace of our global society. This concludes my personal remarks, and I thank you all for your kind attention.
I would like to give the turn to Mr. Ibrahim from the Republic of Tanzania.
Honorable leaders of the government of the Canary Islands and Tenerife, Mr. Michael Dignam, Chairman of the Conference Council on Africa, Mr. Stephen Hayes, President and CEO of the Corporate Council on America, honorable ministers present here, government officials, members of the international business community, distinguished conference participants, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure and honor to be accorded an opportunity of being one of the speakers at this plenary of the auspicious occasion. Let me take this opportunity on behalf of my government, the United Republic of Tanzania, to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers of this important conference, the Corporate Council on Africa. I would like to extend our special thanks to Mr. Stephen Hayes, the President and CEO of CCA, for his invaluable efforts to inspire confidence among American companies to invest in Tanzania and to establish business partnerships with the business community in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, foreign direct investment is one of the top priorities of my government, and therefore this conference has come at a truly opportune time. The government is committed to boost the position of Tanzania as the most viable investment destination regionally and globally. This commitment is demonstrated in the various efforts being undertaken by the government of the United Republic to enhance enabling business environment and investment climate. The importance of enabling business environment and a conducive investment climate cannot be overemphasized. It is for this reason that we are currently implementing the government roadmap for improvement of business environment and investment climate in Tanzania, bearing in mind our position. In line with this, I wish to underscore the importance of an enabling policy, legal and institutional framework that facilitates doing business and investment in our country. Concerted efforts to ensure predictability and investor protection, as well as attractive fiscal and other investment incentives, are essential to ensure sufficient FDI inflows in my country. It is for this reason that Tanzania has put in place an attractive fiscal investment incentive regime that is legally guaranteed in our National Investment Promotion Policy and Tanzania Investment Act 1997, and the Director-General of our Investment Promotion Center is present here in this conference. Other relevant policies and laws initiated by the government in this endeavor include the National Public-Private Partnership Policy of 2009 and the Public-Private Partnership Act of 2010. All these policy interventions portray the government commitment and existence of robust political will to enhance private sector development and attract foreign direct investment. The interventions constitute an important element in boosting Tanzania's position as the most viable investment destination. Ladies and gentlemen, Tanzania is home to a wide range of investment potentials in virtually all sectors of the economy. The list of attractions to potential investors in Tanzania is endless, but it is worth mentioning a few at this occasion. First, Tanzania is endowed with abundant resources for investment, including 44 million hectares of arable land, with 29.4 million hectares suitable for irrigation, and 3.9 million hectares of high irrigation potential. Additionally, there are ample topographical opportunities for building dams to capture rainwater in seasonal rivers and use it for agriculture and livestock. Phosphate deposits and natural gas for fertilizer production are also available. With respect to these opportunities, the government is pursuing various policy interventions and programs aimed at increasing investment in agriculture. Such interventions include the Southern Agricultural Growth Corridor of Tanzania, which is a public-private partnership initiative to agricultural transformation, very similar to CCA's Public-Private Agriculture Initiative. The government's focus on agriculture development is also expressed in its resolution popularly known as Agriculture is First to Everything Else. The main challenges to agriculture growth in Tanzania are low investment in agro-processing industries and consequent broken value chains, and investment in construction of irrigation infrastructure, financing, and lack of appropriate technology for agricultural production. Second, Tanzania is endowed with abundant power generation resources, including natural gas of about 45 million cubic meters of proven reserves, coal reserves of about 1,200 million tons, hydropower generation potential of 4.7 gigawatts, uranium, geothermal, wind, solar, ocean waves, and other renewable resources. The challenge in the power sector are inadequate investment in power generation in terms of finance and technology. Third, the strategic geographical location of Tanzania offers spectacular investment opportunities in port development and management. The country is bordered by 6 landlocked countries with an extensive 1,424 kilometers coastline and natural potential harbors. It is my hope that this area will be further explored during the forthcoming session on port development and management. The strategic location also guarantees sufficient market access with regard to a huge and growing regional market. Furthermore, the vast exclusive economic zone is up to 200 nautical miles covering an area of 23,000 square kilometers, providing opportunity for investment in deep sea fishing. Fourth, Tanzania enjoys a robust political stability in Africa with guaranteed peace and harmony, which constitutes an essential element of business growth and investment predictability. Lastly but not least, Tanzania is home to internationally acclaimed, most spectacular and unique tourist attractions. Some of the most outstanding include 15 national parks, Ngorongoro Conservation Area, featuring a great Ngorongoro crater, the extensive Serengeti, Mount Kilimanjaro, 33 game reserves featuring the Great Selous, 43 game controlled areas, and many more cultural heritage tourist attractions. Ladies and gentlemen, the possibilities are just enormous. Ladies and gentlemen, commerce and international trade is the link between investment and markets. Tanzania offers wealth a number of unique investment opportunities that have the potential of addressing emerging global concerns of critical importance to the community of the nations. The essence of global wealth that has become a small village consequent to rapid development in the field of ICT is the necessity to address common problems that impact on the future of the world and its capacity to sustain human existence. One of the major developments threatening the sustainability of human life is the food security concern consequent to climate change. Tanzania can contribute to finding a lasting solution based on global cooperation through access into substantial land and water resources it has. What is required is a judicious investment program that addresses Tanzania's own food security concerns and the desire to transform agriculture production through bringing Tanzania communities and smallholder producers with large international investors in production schemes that are based on good agricultural practices and mutual sharing of benefits. This would lead to conclusion of investment deals that provide for investment based on business models that safeguard national land ownership concerns but create opportunity for cooperation. Food security should not become a threat to humanity if we agree to collaborate and cooperate in our responses by sharing the resources that God has given us. Tanzania and other African countries need massive resources to revamp its infrastructure for transportation and utilities. Tanzania would like to place its resources in investment that will contribute to the need to build a better world for humanity. This means that our partnership should lead to balanced returns for Tanzania, for interested international investors, for sustainability and stability. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, Tanzania has the potential to become part of the global breadbasket. It has the attraction to draw a large segment of the tourism industry stakeholders in the unique endowment inherent in the Serengeti Plains, the Ngorongoro Conservation, and Mount Kilimanjaro. Tanzania has the resources necessary to meet part of the alternative energy challenge ranging from biofuel production to uranium resources, as well as suitability for power generation from wind and solar. However, the benefits accruing from this potential will only become a reality to Tanzania and her investment partners if the investment for their judicial exploitation does take place. Tanzania is opening its arms to willing investors. Now is the time to make our minds. The world is changing so rapidly that opportunities that are open today may be gone forever if we do not make up our minds now. Ladies and gentlemen, what I have stated, I believe, about Tanzania is replicated throughout the African continent. I strongly urge the corporate world represented here to take an affirmative resolve to invest in Africa in general and Tanzania in particular. It is my hope that this conference will give birth to successful business partnerships for increased investment in Africa, for the mutual benefit of the people of Africa and of the world and the investors in particular. Once again, allow me to thank and congratulate CCA for organizing this conference and express my hope that the event will prove to be an ideal and ultimately a timely event for economic development of Africa and that of the world, and I thank you very much for your attention.
Now I would like to continue with the team partnership in African role. So we have all the invitees here with us. I would like to talk with Mr. Plijter. As we know, policy makers do and they continue to play a central role by creating and reforming the regulatory and enabling environments to attract investment, increase trade, and promote growth. From the European Commission, Mr. Plijter, how do multilateral trade agreements open up new economies, opportunities for Africa, for Europe, and for partnership between Africa and Europe?
Well, in Europe, in relation to developing countries, and in particular to the countries in Africa, the Caribbean, and in the Pacific, we have always opened our markets to the fullest extent. That has been in the past with considerable limitations, particularly in the agricultural field, but over time, all these exceptions have been eliminated, and I think at the moment, ACP countries in general have access to the European market without any restrictions in terms of quantities and without any restrictions in terms of tariff. The tariff level is 0. So we have done that. But in the past, over the past many years, talk about a period of 40, 50 years, we have noted that the access of products from Africa on the European market has not gone up as a result of this opening of market. It has gone down. Africa had 7-8% share on the European market, and that has gone down to about 3% at the moment. So we can ask questions about if opening up the European market has been very helpful to the Africans, to development in Africa. And therefore, we have come to the conclusions some time ago, in the mid-90s, together with our partners in the ACP, that maybe a opening up of markets in Africa would be a better instrument to kickstart development in Africa, to get a bit of challenge to the local industry which is behind, save high barriers, and in order to get more competitiveness and growth in that perspective. We have concluded the new agreement, global agreement between ACP and Europe, the Cotonou agreement in 2000, and that has launched a process of regional regional negotiations between, on the one hand, Europe, and on the other hand, the various regions in Africa, the Caribbean region, and in the Pacific region. In the Caribbean region, we have been able to conclude such a new type of development agreement with gradually opening markets in the Caribbean side, support aid for trade from the European side in order to make this gradual process as smooth as possible. And that agreement has now been concluded, has entered into force, and next week the first meetings on the trade aspect of that agreement are taking place in the region. In Africa, though, we have not been very successful in negotiations. Since 2002, we are negotiating so-called economic partnership agreements. They have been, the process of negotiation has been very slow, and it has not been leading to any results. Towards the end of 2007, we have had some initialings of some agreements, but since then hardly any movement has taken place. So we are looking back. We have a period of 8 years, which I think are basically a lost opportunity, because we think that economic partnership agreements are providing a better way for creating development in Africa than the present situation.
You're referring to ECP. We have here together Mr. Facility. So, from your point of view, will partnership within Africa in the form of regional economic communities succeed in streamlining regulatory environments, and will regionalization increase foreign investment from this point of view?
Non, je voudrais décamper par la suite de l'intervention de M. Plijter de votre question. Ça marche? Je voudrais très rapidement dire qu'en fait, à la suite de l'intervention du représentant de la Commission, l'idée en fait ici, cette salle, c'est pas nécessairement de se rejeter en fait des responsabilités sur les raisons pour lesquelles le processus de négociation des avance ou n'avance peut-être pas à satisfaction et qu'on est en fait à faire face aujourd'hui à 8 années perdues, comme il l'a dit. L'une des raisons de fond pour lesquelles en fait la plupart de nos organisations économiques régionales n'ont pas à ce jour conclu les accords de partenariat économique est tout simplement dû à la divergence d'approche qu'il y a par rapport au processus de négociation. Ces négociations, du point de vue précisément des pays ACP, doivent servir précisément trois objectifs. D'une part, offrir en fait un accès au marché stable pour nos exportateurs. La réflexion fait certaines conditions ne sont toujours pas réunies pour justement cet accès au marché stable. Deuxième paramètre, c'est que ces négociations doivent servir précisément à renforcer le processus d'intégration régionale, ce qui, de la manière dont les négociations à ce jour sont articulées, ne permet pas toujours de répondre à cet objectif et finalement de répondre aux préoccupations de développement. Et je pense que si précisément l'une des raisons pour lesquelles on croit qu'on peut rentrer dans un processus de négociation des accords de partenariat économique, c'est de permettre justement à nos entreprises d'être compétitives et surtout de pouvoir profiter des opportunités d'investissement, c'est dans un premier temps d'abord remplir un certain nombre de préconditions. Et ces préconditions sont d'abord de renforcer leur potentiel, c'est renforcer leur atout, c'est renforcer le potentiel de développement, c'est renforcer le potentiel d'offre. Et si précisément ces préconditions ne sont pas toujours réunies, évidemment, elles vont précisément bloquer. C'est la raison pour laquelle, pour répondre à votre question, monsieur le modérateur, je pense que nous avons devant nous une situation d'impasse à laquelle nous sommes très actifs pour rechercher une une solution, mais si un certain nombre de préconditions que posent nos négociateurs ne sont pas réunies, évidemment, les accords de partenariat économique ne vont pas servir de terrain favorable pour attirer effectivement des investissements dans nos pays. Donc voilà précisément la raison pour laquelle je voudrais apporter à votre question. Je vous remercie.
Nous avons aussi donc we have with us also Mrs. Roelof, Minister from Equatorial Guinea. We have spoken more about economic and trade policy. Let's see from the country level. What is the Equatorial Guinea doing to increase trade and investment from international companies? And what are the current opportunities in your country?
Muchísimas gracias. Gracias por la invitación de Ecuatorial a este foro. Muchas gracias a los organizadores. Como en su día, como dijo el presidente Ibrahim, dijo, prefiero hablar en mi idioma para comprender mejor los errores que cometo hablando, con lo cual disculpen ustedes si no hablo en inglés, no es el idioma de mi país, por lo cual hablaré en español. Como todos ustedes saben, Guinea Ecuatorial es un país pequeño en el Golfo de África. Desde los últimos 12 años estamos muy presentes en la provincia internacional, sobre todo debido a los niveles de exportación petrolífera que nosotros tenemos. Efectivamente, la República de Guinea Ecuatorial es el tercer país exportador de África subsahariana en términos de exportación de petróleo. Yo creo que no habríamos llegado a estos niveles de exportación si el gobierno de Guinea Ecuatorial no habría podido meter en plaza los instrumentos necesarios para motivar la inversión extranjera directa que nosotros tenemos. La inversión que se hace en este sector petrolífero es primariamente una inversión efectuada por empresas del sector americanos, principalmente ExxonMobil, Marathon y otras empresas. Para invertir en este sector se han concluido acuerdos de producción conjunta. En estos acuerdos de producción conjunta se establecen una serie de garantías fiscales de estas inversiones, pero por otra parte yo creo que lo que es más importante es que toda la inversión que efectúan estas empresas es luego reducida de lo que son los beneficios del Estado. Obviamente estos contratos tienen unos modos bastante complejos, entonces lo que podemos decir es como un préstamo a la inversión que hacen estas empresas, donde obtienen también grandes beneficios. Obviamente estoy aquí para presentar la perspectiva de los países, ¿verdad? En este caso la perspectiva de Guinea Ecuatorial. Guinea Ecuatorial es un país bastante pequeño, tenemos 28.000 kilómetros cuadrados en superficie, no es mucho, creo que está bastante sorprendido. El país está constituido en dos zonas, una zona regional continental, que es la más grande, y una zona insular. La población actual es de 1.114.000 habitantes. Y nosotros sabemos que este número limitado de habitantes suscita una preocupación mayor para los inversores que vienen, porque se quejan de que no hay un mercado interno suficientemente importante como para absorber los productos que se pudieran traer al mercado. Esta es una preocupación a la que voy a hacer alusión, obviamente más tarde. Les he traído unas pocas cifras sobre Guinea Ecuatorial. Tenemos una tasa España hace cosa de 400 años, y desde el 12 de octubre de 1968, sí, son bastante recientes. Ahora para los países africanos han estado celebrando el 50 aniversario. Nosotros no hemos podido celebrarlo con ellos, aunque estábamos en corazón con ellos, pero nosotros también esperamos con muchísima ansiedad nuestra celebración del 50 aniversario de independencia. El segundo idioma oficial del país es el francés, un parlons français, como se llama. En los datos económicos nosotros hemos tenido, como estaba diciendo, desde 2002 un crecimiento galopante en la economía de Guinea Ecuatorial. Unas cifras que tengo aquí de los últimos 3 años. Sí, hemos llegado a crecer más del 18%, porque en 2006 éramos el país con mayor crecimiento económico mundial. Pero desde 2007 a 2010 hemos tenido un crecimiento por medio del 14,5%, pero hemos de admitir que hemos tenido también un decrecimiento el año pasado, y el año 2008 y el 2009 y 2010 no fueron tan buenos para nosotros. La situación de la crisis mundial también ha afectado mucho nuestra economía, sobre todo teniendo en cuenta que tenemos una economía basada en la monoproducción, que es el sector petrolero. Entonces, lo que fue la caída de los precios del petróleo afectó considerablemente los ingresos en la República de Guinea Ecuatorial, sin afectar luego lo que ha sido el plan de desarrollo, que es el desarrollo de la República de Guinea Ecuatorial hacia la diversificación de la economía. Y con ello tenemos actualmente una inversión directa extranjera de aproximadamente 1.060 millones de euros. Eso fue del año 2010, justamente. Nuestro volumen de exportación actualmente son de 8.000 millones de euros aproximadamente. Los datos los acabamos de traducir en euros, normalmente están en franco CFA, que es la moneda que nosotros utilizamos. Justamente la economía de Guinea Ecuatorial tiene que verse como una economía que es producto de la política económica de nuestro Estado. Efectivamente, la integración a la PEA, a la zona de la CEMAC, en 1985 fue uno de los pasos estratégicos que tomó el gobierno de la República de Guinea Ecuatorial, primero para asegurar justamente la convertibilidad de su moneda. Anteriormente teníamos una moneda única nuestra que no permitía fácilmente las transacciones comerciales con otros países ni con las empresas. Entonces, desde que nosotros nos hemos integrado a la zona de CEMAC, hemos podido beneficiar desde luego de todos los elementos que conlleva una política monetaria común que tenemos, que es sobre todo la paridad con el euro. Nosotros tenemos una tasa de cambio con el euro que es inicialmente con Francia, y cuando Francia entró en la zona euro, obviamente se estableció automáticamente con el euro. Y luego el problema del mercado interior limitado, yo creo que también con la integración a la CEMAC nosotros hemos podido claramente hacer frente a este problema. Hablamos de una población estimada de 60 millones de personas en las zonas de mar, que integran, además de Guinea Ecuatorial, el Chad, la República Centroafricana, el Congo, Brazzaville, Camerún, Gabón, no sé si he dejado alguno. Entonces, invertir en Guinea Ecuatorial significa tener una apertura clara a todos estos países que tienen entre ellos una política monetaria común, una política aduanera común, que están intentando también armonizar ciertamente sus políticas fiscales. En Guinea Ecuatorial en el 2004 nosotros tuvimos que revisar nuestras leyes fiscales para adecuarlas a las demás leyes de la asociación.
Mr. Plijter, how do you see the case of Equatorial Guinea from the European Union that we just presented to the CEPAC organization, which is also one of the major in Africa, how it's helping us with this integration to encourage business and policy in our two continents?
I think that is a very good idea. In the basis of our negotiations with the Africans on trade, it is the regional constructions in Africa we respect and we want to stimulate. We think that the smaller countries have every benefit from getting into larger units. We have seen that, of course, also in Europe. Myself, I'm from the Netherlands, a smaller country, but we have now, for our products and market, 500 million people. So that is an interesting tool in order to attract investment, create competitiveness, but the level of economic integration in Africa in general is going very, very slowly. The ultimate ambition is creating an economic community for Africa. And that is something which was foreseen for 2025 maybe. But still the steps to get there are going very slowly. The regional economic integration organizations are the building blocks of this broader, the large continental economic community. And so strengthening those building blocks is a very good thing. And that is, well, since years one of our objectives with the EPA negotiations. But it is getting more in the world community. It's getting more support now with G8 in this year's conclusion. We will talk a lot about regional integration as the dynamic factor for getting development in Africa, and also the G20 consider that as an important element in their strategy in order to get the global economy moving. And then on top of that, the Africans themselves, the African Union, next year in their ministerial conference will deal with trade and regional integration. So there is, the minds are focused in the right direction.
So from CEPAC, we can go to the other side of Africa, to Assane, right, in Tanzania. How far the journey for trade reference we have seen are considered a good policy in Tanzania, how you govern
you can hear me. I want to look very objective when it comes to APA. In the first place, APAs we have to conclude very soon, because we want to work in a very legal framework with Africa and Europe. Europe happens to be our biggest partner in trade, also in investment. So the legal framework that we anticipate to sign is an important aspect. But on the other hand, APAs are addressing specific issues in every region, and we should not forget the importance of integration, because integration means us to be stronger and to cooperate more and to have economic scale as well. And why we have not signed the EPA within SADC and within East Africa. We are now in the framework of Africa. Is because I do believe, and I'm sure, most of the countries in Africa would like to see is that this new partnership addresses what was lacking in the past. And it has to bring about a new world order, a change in the world order, whereby this continent like Africa, which is endowed of so many resources, with the same population as China and India, for example, why does it remain poor? And I do believe for this partnership to be meaningful, it has to change the face of Africa and becomes prosperous like the other continents. Our problem, if I don't mention what are the limitations right now, when I was participating in the negotiation, we wanted the development part of Africa to be recognized by Europe because our infrastructure is inadequate. We cannot have efficiency in the industry without reliable and predictable power. And we need also to have institutions that can trade in the same manner with Europe. So our wish in Africa, and I'm sure in ACP, is to see to it that this partnership is meaningful to us, and we are for the signing or concluding of the agreement, but we want development. We want the share of Africa in the world trade is so small. We want to change that. The investment that comes to Africa so far is still small, in spite of the fact that we are trying our level best to attract investment from all over. And I'm glad things are changing. So the signing of this agreement should really bring this change to make Africa prosperous and to make the whole world more prosperous than it is right now.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. So we'd like now to close this. We just have one question.
The question is, what first? Joseph, do we have Europeans, the world community, have to bring Africa to standards before Africa can open and participate in the global market? Or do you jump with the confidence that with the jump you will enhance the competitiveness of your industry, and with the help of aid for trade worldwide, Africa can start a development?
I'm sure that this is a good question that we will need to answer it privately because we have an agenda. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very quickly.
Non, en fait, pour revenir à la question qui est posée par M. Plijter, je crois que nous disposons d'un certain nombre d'éléments que nous offre l'histoire économique et commerciale récente. La loi est l'exemple le plus patent de ce qu'une offre d'accès au marché avec des conditions de règles d'origine associées, avec un certain nombre de mesures incitatives, marche, ne peut marcher. On a vu les exportations précisément d'entreprises africaines qui ont largement, qui se sont, je vais dire, développées substantiellement. Donc je pense que l'un des problèmes qui sont aujourd'hui, qui se posent, certes on a besoin d'avoir un accès au marché stable, mais les conditions de cet accès au marché, par exemple, c'est de permettre en fait d'offrir aux entreprises qui sont et à nos pays un schéma préférentiel d'accès au marché qui soit justement conforme aux capacités et mesuré au niveau de développement de la plupart de nos entreprises. Et je pense que ça c'est quelque chose qui est possible et nous sommes en train de travailler dans cette direction, en tout cas au secrétariat ACP, pour que la présidence actuelle du G20 puisse effectivement déboucher sur une solution qui permet en fait de sortir de cette impasse.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leguin, and I'm sure we will reach this agreement soon that will enable to continue with our partnership engine for Africa development growth. Thank you very much for you, and I believe we will go through the next
should please report at the front of the room by the stage. You will be escorted down to the workshop. For those of you who would like to attend the renewable energy, solar